We know our past, we know our present. The first question is about why Birmingham? Why do we think that Birmingham is well positioned to drive place-based innovation and placemaking in this new era, in a very unpredictable, fast-paced, changing world? What is it that gives us confidence and that gives us the belief that this is the right place and that we can achieve this in Birmingham? From your perspectives, I'll start with Sir John Pearce, Chairman of Midlands Engine.
Thank you, Alex. That's a great video, by the way, and it's great to see so many people here listening in from around the world. And the important thing about Birmingham, and indeed the Midlands as a region, Birmingham is the UK's second city. If you look at the region as a whole, it's the largest economic area outside of London. So in terms of opportunity, it's massive. It's massive. And we've also got here in the Midlands challenges, major challenges in terms of productivity. We could improve our productivity, we could achieve taking productivity up just to the national average, not above it, just to it. That's 90 billion a year that we could add to the national economy, let alone the local one. So, as Alex knows, I am hugely supportive of this project, this exciting opportunity, but underlying it is this principle of cooperation. And I think here the diversity, the history, the historic base on which this is being done, but more importantly, through the universities, the research that's being done, the new opportunities, innovation and creativity, wherever you look in the world, is going to be important going forward. Indeed, this week we saw President-elect Trump talking about making America great again. At the heart of the challenges and the opportunities in parts of the United States, they're no different to here, to other parts of Europe, to parts of Asia, or where have you. The question will be, who can be more agile, who can be more nimble in executing and delivering that full helix that Alex was talking about in his introduction? Place is essential. If you look at Silicon Valley, everyone's proud of Silicon Valley. But it does create huge wealth for individuals, but that opportunity has got to be felt by us all, or much wider than perhaps it is today. So I'm a capitalist, I'm perfectly honest with you, but I'm an inclusive capitalist. And I hope this very exciting opportunity, and I think the university and the universities we have in this region, I don't want them just to adapt. I would like to see them lead. And that's a choice we can make, but it's only going to be possible through collaboration. So challenge, opportunity, innovation, creativity, all of those issues are going to be crucial to making this a success. But the Midlands, Birmingham in particular here, is the center, is the epicenter of unlocking this huge opportunity. So I don't see it as a cost. I see it as a massive investment in our future.
Thank you, Sir John. Doug Wright, Sheriff of the West Midlands, would you like to continue?
Yeah, good morning, everybody, and absolute warm welcome to Birmingham, second city in the UK. John's covered a lot of the stuff off, but the one thing that I would absolutely want to shine a light on is there is such synergy between Birmingham's businesses and universities. And that is a very, very, very important point in terms of, I'm 59 and I didn't go to university, but I struggled to start as a businessman. And to have had something like this, the Innovation Centre, would have been truly remarkable. It would have been fantastic to be able to collaborate with people, young women and young men, and businesses that are growing. So I think this is the best in class example of collaboration. And I think the size of the prize is just huge. So for me, it's about leveraging and making sure that universities don't just operate educationally, but also they think as brands and ultimately global brands.
Doug, I know you won't be able to join us tonight for dinner at Aston Villa Stadium because you're kind of celebrating 15 years of Ronald McDonald House that you've set up and open to those unfortunate families that are struggling with children with illness and so on. And you've gone through some of those experiences yourself in your life. Owning now and running the largest McDonald's chain in UK, 26, 27 restaurants. You would have a deep connection to the inclusiveness of Birmingham. Is that something that also provides a platform for an inclusive innovation precinct?
Yeah, it's massive, you know, in terms of running a business. As Aleks said, you know, 15 years ago, we managed to all raise £10 million, and just 250 metres away, we built a Ronald McDonald House. So I won't be able to join you for dinner at the world's greatest football club this evening, which also happens to be here in Aston. But yeah, I think I've learned in business that the power of inclusivity, connection is fabulous. And I think that when you look at the amount of people who come to this university and go on and do things, and we have some amazing alumni. And I think the power of the alumni and all the people who are educated here gives us huge opportunity.
And you mentioned something that's really, I think, worth pointing, that the Women's and Children's Hospital and the Ronald McDonald House are all actually within campus and the innovation precinct, which adds another dimension to the whole inclusive kind of a fabric of an innovation quarter. Rob, over to you.
Thank you, Aleks, and thank you for inviting me today. It's incredible to see that video. I think we created that 18 months ago, and we've been on one hell of a journey since then. And like Sir John, I'm a capitalist, but I'm also an inclusive capitalist. So I look at our investments here, I look at the opportunity, and I think, well, how can we make that as impactful as possible? Well, we're already embedded in this part of the city. We have a number of assets. We've just completed on our new build, £38 million worth of our most advanced building ever, as a home for the startups that you're going to be creating as a university, but also as a magnet for the inward investment we all want to see here. But our business wants to deliver 1 billion of investment into this place in creating a globally significant innovation district. And the ingredients are obvious for me. We've got a fantastic university, and under your leadership, a university with real ambition to make real differences, not only to the populations of Birmingham, but globally as well. Some of the institutions you've got are absolutely world-leading, cutting-edge technology that will provide real-world solutions to some of the real challenges that we all face. That's an incredible thing. And you think about the geography we have here, it's amazing. So we just have 4 key landowners. All of those key landowners are aligned to that vision. So that's Birmingham City Council, that's us, Bruntwood SciTech, it's Aston University, and it's the other university we've got here as well. Not a research university, but still a very important university, Birmingham City University. You know, between us we control 50 acres, and within that we already have some fantastic embedded facilities, buildings, and institutes. So the building blocks are already there. And then you start thinking about, well, actually, we're just a short walk from the city centre. So as we pivot towards more of a knowledge economy, which we're doing, this is the natural extension to that city core. So over time, we're going to see this become the extension to Birmingham's commercial future. And I think that's going to happen really quickly. Then we think about the investment that's coming into Curzon Street, right? That's the biggest infrastructure project in the whole of Europe right now. It's going to take us right into London. Right, great news, connecting into Euston. And I was reading in the FT this morning, I think we're going to get that connection up into the north as well, which is so key to delivering regional change and investment. So all of that It's going to help drivers to deliver on our vision. We're already at the centre of the motorway network, and if you get on the Aston Expressway, subject to what time you join it, you can be on the motorway in 2 minutes, and getting down south or going up north. And we're a very short walk from the key stations as well. So at the heart of the rail network, and from New Street Station, you can be anywhere in the UK within 2 stops. So absolutely a centre of the nation with a true mixed economy here. But I think the really exciting thing about what we're looking to do here is that bit about communities. We've talked about the diversity of our communities. Youngest population in Europe here right now, but we've got some real challenges. So we recognise through that investment that we need to deal with those challenges. And I think that's the journey that we're all looking to go on. So making that as impactful and providing as much opportunity. And I know that you as a university lead in that space. Most of your students come from those universities. The school that you support, that takes its cohort from those communities. So you're thinking about attracting that, that investment, those businesses that want to kind of coalesce and work with you and others. They will see that diversity of talent pipeline. They will see that quality of people and opportunity, and that will be a real driver, I think, for the investment we all want to see. Very exciting times.
Thank you. And you've emphasized how important attracting new investment is in order to achieve that growth and sustainability for a city and region, right? Thank you, Rob. We'll get back to some of those topics. Henrietta, you lead an organization that represents more than 3,100 businesses. And we know that our ecosystem here is primarily based on SMEs. Does that provide a basis, but also a resource asset for building such an innovation precinct and place-based innovation agenda?
Oh, absolutely. And again, it goes back to the earlier comments on the history of this city as the city of 1,000 trades. That's still very much alive and well today, albeit in very different sectors. We've got a very enterprising economy. That sort of core characteristic of creativity, innovation, and a lot of business leaders I meet, nice and simple, going, yeah, we'll have a crack at that. Haven't done it before? Never mind, we'll give it a go. Is it even possible? We'll figure it out. So there's that enterprising viewpoint within the SME business community. There's also, of course, that academic base. So, there's over 180,000 students across the West Midlands, 5 universities just here in Birmingham, and that melting point of academic knowledge, insight, research, and business community willingness to innovate, find new ways of doing things, seek commercial opportunities, really is sort of unique in this city. And we see it loud and clear through things like the knowledge transfer partnerships that actually an increasing number of our SME businesses are involved in, which I'm sure we will come to speak more about later. But in general, the sort of opportunity for this city, I always feel it's a city with real momentum about it. So I moved to Birmingham back in 2009 for university, and I never left, even though a lot of my cohort went as far as sort of Shanghai and Australia, because I could feel in the city that energy, that momentum, the physical changes that were happening about this place. And you can see it if you look back at just even pictures of Birmingham 10, 15 years ago to where we are today. It's physically transformed, and its appetite for continuing that momentum and growth really is loud and clear, and using collaboration to drive that growth. So when you look here in the Knowledge Quarter, it's not only a huge opportunity to capitalise on that academic knowledge, that youth, that diversity, that energy in the student population, and that sort of business community innovation. It's a chance to change lives. So the Knowledge Quarter here, the Birmingham Innovation Quarter, it's also part of the levelling up zone for the city region. So also on the doorstep, some of the most deprived wards in the region where people in the city haven't had access to opportunities. So not only have we got an opportunity to grow this really cool innovation quarter here with great big shiny towers, people doing exciting things and driving innovation and change, we have an opportunity to do it better than perhaps it's been done in other areas and actually bring that local community with us and feed that sort of real opportunity for social mobility in an area that really needs it. So it's got that chance to really, like I say, build on that momentum. And you see it in other areas of the city too. Like I say, here in the Innovation Quarter, there's huge exciting opportunities. I was with Birmingham City Football Club yesterday. They've got plans to invest $3 billion in a sports quarter over on their side of town. You've got Peaky Blinders filming in the city right now. Somewhere, Cillian Murphy's walking around in a flat cap. Shout if you see him. But because someone like Stephen Knight has chosen to invest in this city because he's excited about the momentum, the opportunity, and the chance to really build something fantastic here. So we've got all those raw ingredients, and on top of that, proximity to London, which, quite frankly, a very expensive place to do business. Here we've got that opportunity of not having that cost base to really draw in those entrepreneurs. And then the final point I mention is this time last year we started something called the Business Commission West Midlands, where we brought together a panel of private sector business leaders, spoke to over 100 businesses through qualitative research, 400 through quantitative, to understand the opportunities and the challenges facing business in the city to create a roadmap for business growth. And when they were talking about what the strengths were for the city regions, one of the ones that came out loud and clear and very different to other areas around the country was the strength of the networks in this city, and the fact that you can come into this place and just by virtue of finding the right first point of contact, all of a sudden you can be introduced to that wider world across public, private sector. It's a very accessible place to be. And I think it comes from that culture of this is a place that's looking to build, looking to collaborate, do things differently and grow, and isn't a place where the sort of walls are up and says, no, this is my slice of the pie and no one else can have a part of it. So all those things I think make me very excited about the opportunity, both for the Innovation Quarter, but also the city as a whole over the coming years.
Thank you. That gives another perspective that's fairly broad, and already seeing that diversity of innovation taking place in Birmingham. Katie, you come from an organization, West Midlands Growth Company, that's actually responsible for driving foreign direct investment as well as other investment and supporting that growth that including the Innovation Quarter is trying to achieve in order to benefit all, right? What are your perspectives on our position in driving place-based innovation and placemaking through innovation, and the Birmingham Innovation Quarter as part of that strategy? Do you feel that we are well positioned to harness that the West Midlands Growth Company, is able to also use that as one of the platforms to build that investment portfolio and growth?
Absolutely. So I think we're hugely well placed to harness all the opportunities here, and colleagues have highlighted a number of those really key points as well, but I'll just write a few others. I think just wanted to start by building on your last point, Henrietta, about the networks here. So one of the things we find when we bring investors over to the region from internationally, they are always taken aback by the quality of the connections that we have within the city and the wider region. We make a really big point when we're putting pitches out to those businesses and when they come over for familiarisation visits to ensure that we have not only representatives from the business community and the clusters they might want to join, but also representatives from our universities and the innovation assets that we have as well, and also the public sector too. So we're really able to show a really strong triple helix effect, which shows that to those businesses that if they do come and make the decision to locate within the city or the wider region, they will be welcomed. They will have a cluster of organisations to help and support them with. And I don't think there's any surprise on the back of that sort of warm welcome piece that for the second year running, we've had the highest foreign direct investment into the region outside of London. So more projects came to the West Midlands than Scotland and Wales combined last year, which is really significant when you think about the sort of additional funding that they have to be able to try to attract businesses there. We're also doing some very specific programmes as a growth company to try and build on that as well. So we have our Global Growth Programme at the moment, which is we're working in partnership with Bruntwood SciTech and with universities across the region to have a 9-month programme of support for international SMEs with tech companies, innovative ones who have high growth potential, who want to come and locate into the UK. Normally, they would only have the thought of London. We've now put a particular programme and package together to entice them to the West Midlands, and for the very good reasons that colleagues have talked about, but it's the 9-month package of soft landing support for them as well. And then if they're interested in particular clusters, we signpost them to the relevant innovation hub with the university, and automatically they have that sort of the support that they need to be able to set up and to grow here. And we've seen that as being a really, really huge success. I think other bits just to touch on, in addition to what other panellists have talked about, the benefits of the breadth of our economy here. So we have a wide variety of sector strengths. So more traditional ones you might have heard of: advanced manufacturing and engineering, life sciences, creative and digital, business, professional and financial services. But because we've got that breadth, we are able to look at how those different sectors can support each other through technology transfer to grow as well. So you're now seeing kind of gaming technology inputting into future of mobility, for example. You're seeing the advanced manufacturing skills, and we've talked about the history that we've got around that, really now trying to work in how we scale up life sciences and the medtech and diagnostic areas as well. I think the diversity of our population is, again, a huge asset for a whole number of reasons. One of those ones, which you may not think about though as well, is that this has helped us become a real global leader in technical and clinical trials, because we have that population base that we can utilise. So I understand we do about 7% of the advanced therapy trials here within the city. And there's lots more that we can build on as well. So Smithfield, that's a site down the road, they're looking to have a new innovation district on food and food technology that can really build on our kind of breadth of cultural diversity as well. That strong ecosystem, though, we've all talked about, is incredibly important, and the more also how it's being moved into not only the triple helix approach, that we all know well now, but also to go into that fourth element that you talked about, the community side, which is increasingly happening much more through specific programmes that we might have here within the city and the region. And I think, again, it's no coincidence that the West Midlands is one of 3 shortlisted areas now for the European Capital of Innovation. So West Midlands is with ISPO from Finland and Turin in Italy as the 3 finalists. And this is all about looking at how innovation impacts on citizens for the benefit of all. And I think that's, huge testament to the work that partners are doing across all the sectors, really. And I know that is just something that will continue to help grow and success here, both within the particular innovation quarter, but beyond as well.
It's good to hear that we're now shortlisted among the 3. Let's hope we win it.
Yes.
There's nothing like a win. So, thanks, Katie. Really, I've also learned a lot from your update today as well. Something that I didn't know before. Really good to hear how it's all emerging and congregating, even further reinforces the case for innovation in Birmingham. Lisa, you are the CEO of Midlands Mindforge. We mentioned universities a few times, how they're important as catalysts, because they are creating knowledge and diffusing knowledge. And Midlands Mindforge, for those that don't know, is a new independent investment company set up by 8 research-intensive universities in the region, including Aston University, which is quite a unique case. 8 universities playing together and setting up collaboratively an independent finance company that has a bold plan of generating in the near future 250 million and beyond. Why are universities so important to this innovation ecosystem? And why is research and research translation and commercialization so important, as a key ingredient for this research, for this place-based innovation agenda?
So it is quite extraordinary, and I loved the speech earlier about radical collaboration. So I think radical collaboration is alive and well here in the Midlands. I don't know of a better example of radical collaboration than 8 universities coming together to set up their own financial institution. It has a very specific purpose, which is to invest in extraordinary differentiated science and technology coming out of the universities, but very cleverly, and I think very broad-mindedly, again in the line of the radical collaboration, set it up so that this entity invests in science and technology from across the whole region. So it's not an exclusive club. It's actually just saying we're there to invest in great science wherever it can be found, and that is inclusive to all 20 universities on our patch. So if you think about it, if you're a venture capitalist, as I am, the key thing you look for in venture capital is something differentiated, unique, a global proposition, solves a global problem, so something that's very big and awesome. We have a lot of that on our patch. In actual fact, our patch leads the UK in the number of patents that are filed. We happen to be very, very productive in the average cost of the patents that we file in terms of research. We also lead in the quality of the research. So the UK produces a ref report where it kind of really has a deep look. It's very scary, actually. It keeps most VCs up at night. It happens once every 7 years. But what's brilliant is our patch is in the 10 science and engineering sectors that are analysed. We are in the top 3 in 10 out of the 12 sectors. Top 3. And we are number 1 in 5. So if you're looking for world-class differentiated science, this is the place to be. So that's one massive advantage as a VC on this patch. I think second is talent. That's the key differentiator when you are looking to be able to grow companies. And I think we really benefit from the diversity of our population. That we have institutions like Aston that 70% of our students here are the first time university attendees and their family. I mean, how extraordinary is that? We literally have a pipeline builder here that is pulling talent from the most deprived sectors of the economy and making sure that that talent has a path to success. And make no mistake, that talent is hungry, driven. They make great entrepreneurs. And that's why one of the reasons we have such a thriving SME community. And tapping into something Henrietta said, I love the culture that you find here. Being a global investor up until this role, you always felt that sort of different attitude when you're in Silicon Valley, that kind of, I'll have a go. There's a problem, I'll get stuck into that. And across the UK, I have to say, this is the first region in the UK where I've really had that same entrepreneurial attitude, that absence of fear of failure, of I'll just have a go. And those ingredients of extraordinary differentiated innovation, really world-class talent, plus that cultural attitude is just a recipe for success. And so I think this fund coming in, so 3.4 billion direct investment into science innovation. I think we need to rapidly expand your innovation quarter. It's going to be too small.
I think Rob is very keen to expand that. So thank you, Lisa, very much. Provides a really, I think, fact-based, evidence-based data that reinforces the role of universities. There are a few questions there that I caught up on the screen that are touching on the topic of leadership in order to achieve truly inclusive kind of innovation and place-making innovation that involves community society. There's a feeling, that belief that requires different leadership or aligned leadership. I know, Sir John, recently when we had the presentation and roundtable in the House of Commons around Birmingham Innovation Court and presenting that to the now new government, at that time it was the shadow government of the opposition, you mentioned at that meeting how important it is that this amazing concept and development now we open up to community, not just to engage them, but to involve them, to co-design it with them, to socialize with them and so on. That requires both university, but also industry, business and community leadership of new type, right? Of new breed. What's your view on that whole leadership, and how can universities help through such partnerships create that new leadership for placemaking, for place-based innovation?
Well, I actually think this is a time to think different. And as you quite rightly say, this is a partnership. It's about looking at things in a way that perhaps we've never been able to do before. Social media is changing so much in that respect. We have, as a country, had about 14 years, and this is not a political statement that I'm making, of really very little growth. And my fear is, with all the geopolitical issues we're facing now globally, that trend could continue for some time to come. We need leadership, therefore, to break that mold and actually think differently here. And so, for example, if I look at Birmingham, the vast majority of the jobs in Birmingham will be in the SME sector. It won't be with large corporations. I remember some years ago going over to South Korea, and one of the problems the big corporations had there was that many of the young people leaving university didn't want to do the traditional thing of joining a large company, but scale up, having the opportunity to do something different is going to be very important. But that's why I think the universities have a role to play here, a key role in that leadership. So don't just simply be followers of a policy which says something like we need an industrial strategy, or we need, I don't know what those are. I've run many companies and I certainly know what's needed to extract growth. But it has to, the place thing is so important here. And if the people of Birmingham feel what you're creating here, which I think is amazing, but it's only benefiting a few, you will fail. You will fail to make that real difference. But you could see from the comments from the panelists and things you said yourself here, there is a desire to collaborate. There is an opportunity here to attract capital into this great and growing city. But whatever it is we do can't just simply benefit a handful of large companies, large individuals with large wallets. It's got to be something that is really going to make a difference. And I hope that what you're able to do with this opportunity is actually in 10 years' time look back, and the people of Birmingham can look back, and the people of the UK will look back and say, that's the way to do it.
Thank you, Sir John. Doug, you are participating, or you have over the last 6 months in particular, in co-designing the new CEO Academy with our Aston Business School that's at the heart of the Birmingham Innovation Quarter. And that aims to address some of those leadership paradigms, imperatives we're talking about. What's your view on that new type of leadership that's aligned with this place-making agenda?
Yeah, I mean, I think that leadership is going to be everything. And, you know, the panel, we've talked about many, many different things, but it is very special for Aston University to be at the front and to be designing a CEO Academy where we want to bring like-minded people together. Many of them will have been a CMO or a CFO or CIO. All of a sudden, they're the leader of an organization. And so the kind of thinking of the CEO Academy is to give them cross-functional experience, that they can come together almost in a Chatham's House rule-esque way and to talk and to help them go on to run bigger, more successful companies, knowing that they've not only collaborated with Aston University and all its global outreach with its wonderful alumni, but they now know how to manage all the people that are outside of their own skill sector. So for me, the CEO Academy is incredibly exciting. There's a lot of hunger and desire for it. And I think ultimately we've got to make sure that what we land is synonymous with a real badge of honor. You know, we want to be the Rolls Royce of how we deal with leadership. And I think we truly will. And I think that will make sure that people understand that if big leaders are coming to Aston University, that it truly is a place for everything, and will aspire many more people to come and find out what's under the bonnet of Aston. Because trust me, something very special is happening here.
Thanks, Doug. And obviously this is complemented also through other partnerships. So Citizens UK is partnering within this now concept with the university to create the first inclusive leadership program that goes much more broadly across SMEs as well as community groups. And I think that is that ingredient that will add value to align the Birmingham Innovation Quarter and place-based innovation agenda and philosophy with practice, right, going forward. There's another question there that asks about growth. You know, we mentioned growth a few times, all of us, and you know, I might start with Rob and then go, is growth always important? Is growth an imperative, and why? And how do we couple growth also with sustainability and responsible growth? Let's start with Rob.
Well, growth is key, isn't it? So, so the challenges we have, and we have many, can only be addressed through growth, but it needs to be the right sort of growth, and we've kind of talked about that today, haven't we? And I guess the exciting thing we've got here in the partnership that we've talked about, and I really loved your introductory speech this morning, Aleks, when you talked about, you know, what does the university of the future need to look like, that quadruple helix. And it is about community, isn't it, right? So that's the bit that's the missing ingredient that we really need to embrace. And that's the big opportunity we have in this great city of Birmingham. You know, 180 different languages spoken, communities from right across the globe, well established and stable in this city, and it's young, youthful, and dynamic. So that's incredible, and we know that is hugely attractive to investors. So I'll give you an example. One of the biggest FDIs we've seen in the city in recent years is Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs were footloose; they could have gone anywhere in Europe to bring their new headquarters, their innovation headquarters. They chose Birmingham, and one of the main reasons they chose Birmingham was the diversity and the youthfulness of our city. So that is a huge attractor. You know, and I was just listening to Lisa there, and I've heard her talk before about you know, just how good we are at the research and innovation. Who knew that? Right? So, you know, that will be an ingredient for growth. What we do need to do, we're far too modest as a city. We're just those sorts of people. We just get on and do, don't we? And we don't amplify and talk about it. And that's why it's so important we have opportunities like this to talk to global leaders from across the globe about what the opportunity is here to deliver the growth that we all need, to address that point that we've got, you know, our productivity in this region below most of the others, and you know, if we just turn the dial a little bit, as you pointed out, we can make such a huge difference to people's lives, and ultimately that's why we look to invest, isn't it? Yeah,
exactly. Henrietta?
It's a very big question, isn't it, Aleks? What does growth look like? I mean, this is a huge fundamental challenge for the global economy, isn't it? We were talking about just earlier population changes, and when you've got an economy based on ever increasing consumption, that actually is that sustainable long term, and where it's all heading. So, very, very big question. I suppose it comes back to the point of what's the point of growth? Why do we want to grow? Do we want to grow so we've got good headline numbers on GDP and a few rich people getting very, very rich? Well, the rest of the population get poorer? Or do we want to actually see living standards improve across the board and people feel good about this life that we lead? So that for me is what growth we're looking for isn't that simple. Perhaps the way we've looked at it historically of, like I say, GDP growth year on year, productivity growth year on year. They're important, don't get me wrong, but it's that wider balanced scorecard of why we want that growth. Like I say, that social mobility, that opportunity for people to feel good in the lives they lead. And trust me, the poverty here in the USA, wherever you look, there are communities that are so far left behind. And that is dangerous. You know, it's dangerous to have that level of inequality and that level of resentment building up in places. So we all have an obligation to say, why do we want growth? And we have to make it inclusive, because actually, if you don't bring people with you, things can get very difficult very, very quickly. And it's the right thing to do.
It's going to be very important globally to us as a society, because if it's just for the few, we will have failed over the next century or where have you. As you say, if we could just get that defined in a way that is inclusive, huge difference.
So you look at the headlines around concerns about mass immigration. Well, actually, if we've got an economy built on destroying the environment, then we're only going to see more of that as people in the developing world are forced out of their homes and forced to seek a better life elsewhere, because the economies that have been rich in recent years have led to the destruction of the places where they live. So it's that getting that balance right of going, yes, of course we need growth. Of course we need to keep moving forward as a city, as a country, as a global economy. But why do we need it? And what are we going to do with it to actually benefit humanity as a whole?
And how we improve access and participation in that growth, and how we responsibly distribute that new wealth. Critical questions that are yet to be defined, as John mentioned.
These courses you're running from a leadership point of view, Douglas and I were talking before we came in, Aleks, about what is needed from our leaders of the future, from our SMEs, and the university here has a hugely important role to play.
Yes. Lisa?
I think there's another aspect to the growth, which is a little bit of a selfish one from UK PLC point of view, which is encouraging growth, not just for the short term, but for the long term inside the UK. And I think that's one of the elements that the universities in making a vehicle like Mindforge, which is sort of a patient capital, longer term vehicle, is actually quite key, because it addresses a failure that we've had so far in the UK, where we've been just amazingly good at starting very good world leading companies. And then what happens is, just because of how our financial markets are structured, those companies reach a point in their evolution. And they've been good. They've been employers, they've been factory builders, but they're now looking to build the big place and the big vats and the big production. And we just don't have pools of capital that are available at that point, at that critical inflection point, where we could drive production, where we could drive really inclusive growth. And we lose those startups to better funded economies. And so I think one of the things we do want to have is a really joined up approach. Again, going into that sort of radical collaboration where we bring kind of state, both regional, national, and these innovation drivers to just make sure that we are cleverer and better at putting packages together that keep them local, so that those big factories and that big productivity step, because what's frustrating is we are the engine that creates the productivity changing tools for the world. We really are. But we don't actually roll out those productivity solutions locally, because what happens at the point they're about to go and scale and provide those solutions, they up sticks and go somewhere else. So we have an issue to keep them local. I think there's another thing that we can do, which goes back, David, I think your point about the inclusive leadership, which is, and it's an interesting point, is we need to teach our leaders to continue to be brave and to continue that attitude of have a go. Because at the leadership level, to adopt innovation that is a productivity unlock is very scary. And some of the unlocks will work and some of them will spectacularly not work. That's the world of innovation. So we need leaders that are willing to have a go at a few of them, knowing that one of them will be dramatic and really change productivity, and that a couple of them will be experiments that don't. So that unlock from brave leadership, kind of anchoring adoption of innovation as part of their culture and their norm, I mean, that's just fantastic, because that bakes in growth for the future.
Thanks, Lisa. Katie?
I think it's also really important for leaders to be able to look at growth through different geographical scales as well. So whilst we think Birmingham is fantastic, it is, and it has phenomenal assets and a very large population, second biggest city in the UK, we are very small when it comes to the global stage. So actually that's why it's so important when we, through the Growth Company, go and take our messages to the international market, that we do so across a bigger geography. And we represent the 7 local authorities in the West Midlands. We go, and if we go on that scale, we're suddenly comparable with small European cities when it comes to size of the economy, levels of population as well. So we need to be able to go with a much bigger geography to the international world. And you can see, example with Mindforge about bringing the universities together rather than having it just as of one university. But then we also need to take it back and create that growth in communities as well. And that's really quite difficult to think about, particularly I think if you're looking at public sector leaders, for example, to be able to both think outside of their own geographies and areas, but also then go very much to kind of small, particularly maybe deprived communities, etc., and how we get that growth working through. So again, that's a very different kind of leadership set of skills than perhaps we've needed before.
It is, and I think one aspect that might be also necessary, and I think it's probably part of marketing, promotion, communication, and engagement, is to develop among our community, but also among those that are in businesses and universities, a more comprehensive and broad understanding of the value of growth and how that actually contributes and benefits community. Because it's not just about the pay you take home, or if you transform with the Birmingham Innovation Quarter a whole city or large portion of the city centre and create it as a green, sustainable, healthy city on the back of the concept and construct and collaboration that drives Birmingham Innovation Quarter and the investment it attracts, that's the new lived environment for that community that would otherwise never have it. Never have it. If that Birmingham Innovation Quarter, through partnering with industry business or attracting foreign direct investment or creating new IP that gets commercialized, because you have to have something to commercialize, and that's the new knowledge. And that creates, as we planned, 10,000 jobs in 10 years. Certainly that contributes to community. If the Birmingham Innovation Quarter runs as it's planning, thousands of boot camps for digital skills, not just for degrees or masters, but digital skills that you'll get you an entry job, operator job, or data job. That's really bringing the broader community along through digital inclusion into the digital era and digital economy. So I think there's a lot, and I think we go back to also what you were saying, Sir John. We have to, I think, work hard on that narrative and education, because there's a lot in it, but there isn't yet a deeper and broader understanding of all the benefits that community gains from something like this, right? And I think that's can never be underestimated. Engagement and communication. Yes.
Look to the future. People are living longer, having multiple careers.
Yes.
It's a huge opportunity.
Huge opportunity. And what do they say? Statistics show at least 6 or 7 changes in career, which require new skills and upskilling. Who's going to do that? Universities and industry and business combined, right? Fantastic. Moving on. So there is a question there, and I was just looking at it as we're approaching towards the final end of our panel discussion. I have 2 questions, but I'll start with this one that's there. Pay forward 10 years, right? We've set up Birmingham Innovation Quarter. We've described all the beautiful things that it will do and it can do and it should do. 10 years on, how would you describe success? What does success look like from your different perspectives? I'll start with Lisa this time.
Wow. So I think, first of all, it's the diversity we're just a shining beacon of diverse, rapid, high growth businesses, just attracting talent from the global stage. So it's no longer just talent that's local, regional. We're a global beacon for talent inward. We're known as the place to come and start your business because we're so connected. We make the job so easy. We give you easy access to capital, but with lots of other support. So for me, that's it. We're on the global stage. We're the global destination. If you want to start a business, you come here.
Thanks, Lisa. That's focused and clear.
Very similar. I think it's for the Innovation Quarter to be an absolute proof point for us as we go out to the world to say, this is why you should come and invest in the city, in Birmingham and in the wider West Midlands. And I think more closer to home for people residents within the city, thinking either we're already a part of that and we're seeing the benefits and we have a job there, we've got skills there, or we know we can be a part of that as well. And I think that's perhaps the missing part that we haven't yet talked about, is raising those aspiration levels of people throughout our communities too. So there is a danger, for some, that they feel very much apart from what might be happening in the city centre of Birmingham, for example. They don't see it as somewhere where they belong. And it'd be great if the Innovation Quarter helped knock that away and actually, people didn't then have that fear that they couldn't be there and couldn't see themselves there. So it's really that beacon for aspiration as well.
Thank you, Henrietta.
I agree emphatically with all of those points. So I'm so passionate about entrepreneurship as an incredible route to social mobility for people with the right mindset and the raw potential. Actually, entrepreneurship is an incredible gateway. And not only that, successful entrepreneurs often reinvest back in their communities, employ people, and in the case of incredible philanthropists we're sharing the stage with as well, often give back to support local organisations and people, like I say, in those communities. So that success, it's that combination of that beacon attracting in, getting the best from around the world here, side by side with, let's see, some people from that levelling up zone, from that local area who've gone, I could start an innovative business, who'd never have had the opportunity to without it.
Thank you, Henrietta. Rob?
So, yeah, well, from my perspective, 10 years would be an incredible, important milestone, and I'll have a think about how we might mark that milestone. But actually, I think we're on a 50-year journey here. So this is about powering us into this next millennia, isn't it?
So the measurable closing the loop will be beyond my time.
And mine most certainly. But within 10 years, I would hope to, I talked about £1 billion worth of capital invested. I would hope that capital has been invested.
And that's a 10-year plan.
Within that 10-year plan, and then thinking about that next tranche of investment, I fully expect to be supporting 20 or 30 businesses, successful businesses that have spun out of your university. I expect some of those businesses to have grown to a point where they're needing their own buildings, and I'm building them in their buildings, or have built them their buildings. I'm fully expecting us to create a unicorn out of all of this, and I'm fully expecting us to create a proposition that we can amplify on a global level, will attract the investment that businesses will want to provide, because we want to be part of what we're looking to create here. And ultimately, going to that point, we're going to create a place for that the people of Birmingham feel belongs to them and impacts them and delivers opportunity for them. And that in 10 years' time, I think, will be the most important point of difference and success. So, and I fully believe that we will do that, because I know that all the partners are totally aligned to achieving all of what I've just described.
Thank you, Rob.
For me, the big thing that will really define Birmingham and the region is that if this is going to work in 10 years, we'll have brilliant young leaders, because the vital ingredients and everything we've talked about is people. And hopefully, at the moment I employ over 3,000 people, about 500 students, and there's something really special happening here. We do town hall every 6 months. We always ask the students, where do you want to aspire to be? And it used to be America, Australia. Now, 86% of our students want to stay in our own backyard. Now, that is a very, very powerful number. That, coupled with all the trains in the sky, 10 years time, I will never be happy with what we've achieved. I'll be able to say 10 years time, it's job begun, not job done. If we want to be global and take it out there, we want people to ultimately want to remain here and be proud here. And it'd be lovely if we became the capital in 10 years, but I think it might take a little while to take over London, but it won't be without trying.
But that's bold.
I think to tie it all together, and just to close from me, I genuinely believe that there's been a lot of work getting HS2, high-speed rail, to Birmingham. I think what we're creating in Birmingham will ultimately mean that everybody will be connected in the UK. So that this is going to have some big legacy. But I think high-speed rail, we will show the world, the UK, that investment in high-speed rail will bring you through Birmingham. So those are the points from me.
Connect like an integral innovation hub, critical hub that's interconnected with London. Very good point, John.
Well, I think you've had some fantastic vision of the future, and if all of those things are achieved, that's amazing. I'd put this to you. I think what you have got to do, though, is now, in year 1 and in year 2 and in year 3, continue to make clear what our objectives are. Henrietta, your point here about What's the outcome? What is improved productivity? Is it more jobs? Is it more wealth? What is it? And I think this is so exciting. Let the people grow with it. Let people understand what we're trying to do. As you know, on energy, we've got this huge project over in the east. We're so modest and we just get on with it, as Douglas said. But the problem is we need to beat the drum here to talk about this huge opportunity. And these are the outcomes today that we expect in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, maybe not 50, but certainly in the future.
Sounds good. Sounds like a good place to end this panel conversation. Please join me in thanking the wonderful panel. Thank you all. Well-deserved break. Thank you.